And we are live. It's Thursday night. I'm here. You're beautiful. That must mean, baby, it's time for GotBot Goes Live. I, of course, am your host, your most humble of hosts, Dennis Moulton, a.k.a. GotBot. As always, man, please like, comment, share. Of course, subscribe. And while you are at it, light them up, baby. Hit the notification bell, please. It helps me out a ton, and it lets you know when content of all sorts goes up here on the channel. Check out Machinery of Man, the Everything Factor, all the groups that I'm either a mod or an admin for, as well as all of my social media links. All of that is in the description down below. Also in the description down below, and if you're in a position to help the channel to grow, you can use the donate link. Check us out on Patreon, see what we have to offer to you through spring, or of course, hit that join button at any given time and become a channel member. Hope you guys are having a tremendous week. Mine's been a little wonky, but, you know, we're getting there. We're getting through it, you know. Weekend's almost here. It's hard to be angry when the weekend's almost here. Right, guys? Right, guys? Let's see who we got here. Hey, Blue. Hey, Waspinator. Hey, Joel. Hey, Marcus. Hey, War Pig. Albert. Hey, Transformer fan. Midnight and still at work. Ooh. Man, be glad it's Thursday. Man, be glad it's Thursday. Hey, Lance. Hey, Mike. Hey, Donnie. Hey, Ed. Okay, so tonight, of course, we're going to react to all of the kind of third-party panel. Third-party slideshow, I guess I should say, reveals that came out of TFCon Orlando. We will note a couple of other TFCon notes. We're going to talk a little bit about Cang Toys. We're going to talk a little bit about the Red Line, something we haven't talked about in a while. We're going to talk a little bit about O1 Studio, and we're going to do an update to the apparent price tag of the W Resources, or Lewin Resources, if you will. 4 foot, unless you go to the top of the cannons on his shoulder, then it's 5 foot tall Metroplex. So all of that and more. No pickups tonight. Actually, no pickups tonight. I thought about it. I really kind of don't have the scratch right now. And there's shockingly a bunch of things at my Toys R Us. Like Toys R Us gets nothing here. And it's jam-packed. Bless you. It's jam-packed with stuff. And I can't see clear this week for any of it. Who knows? Maybe next week we shall see. This was like, this paycheck was a really wild, expensive one where we had like pay off like a really expensive window we're getting installed, and it was finally when I had to put money down on like the hot water tank and you know, try and get that paid off. And it was one of those weeks. You know, Joel can understand. He's still at work at midnight of all things. Hey, Tony. Are they selling Titans? What? Titans as a penny price? I don't know what that means. I don't like Saturdays. But this is what I'm accepting? Yeah, I don't get that at all. I don't get that. Business before pleasure. All right, let's get into it. So, a couple of TFCon notes to note. First things first, TFCon Toronto, the original will be next summer from July the 12th to the 14th. That's where it all started, right? TFCon LA will be March 8th to the 10th. So, TFCon Orlando just ended. LA will be in March 2024, early March, 8th to 10th. And then a few months later, July, kind of mid-July, the 12th to the 14th in Mississauga, Ontario, will be TFCon Toronto. Interesting that it's, you know, not in Toronto proper, but in Mississauga. Interesting to note as well, at least for LA, that they're branding it, labeling it as a G1 reunion to celebrate the 40th anniversary. Now, what this means and what a G1 reunion is exactly, I don't know. I assume it would have something to do with a table read or bringing those voice actors together or some such thing, but I really don't know. Time will tell as we inch closer, I'm sure, to TFCon LA. So LA first, then Toronto. The Marvel Sunbow Archive. We know that they're always adding stuff. Well, they added something special this time. Not storyboards, not a size chart. This time it's an audio recording. In fact, it is the audio for Revenge of Bruticus, the episode Revenge of Bruticus. It's done in 2 parts, but the overall recording is about an hour. Naturally, bits and pieces of this would have been taken and it would have been whittled down to become a 22-minute episode, right? And I think a lot of their recording was ensemble cast. Not all of it, but a lot of it. Very, very interesting to listen to it and kind of hear that raw, unedited version of what they're doing and kind of how some of the voice work works and how it goes together. So always a good source of information. That Marvel Sunbow archive, always an interesting source of information. Rise of the Beast, battle cubes. And I was like, what the heck is a battle cube? Well, in looking at the little promotional video, and these are across a lot of franchises, like Marvel has battle cubes as well. And it's basically 2 little cubes and you push them together. And I don't think you really smash them together per se, but you kind of push them together. And when they hit, one will, well, I guess they're both spring loaded, but one in particular will end up like flipping out and encapsulating and kind of like wrapping around the other one. It's really weird. Anyway, the 2 battle sets for Transformers Rise of the Beast will be Bumblebee and Battletrap. So you push them together and either Bumblebee wraps around Battletrap to, I guess, win, or Battletrap wraps around Bumblebee to win. What triggers this? How exactly one flips and the other doesn't? I don't know. I feel like that these are 2 cubes that you'd smash together. They would both flip and neither of them would particularly work. Like, I feel like that's what this is. The other one. So one is Battletrap and Bumblebee. The other is Optimus Prime and Scourge. I mean, they're just a little cube with a bunch of springs on it, and it has the character's face on it. The Optimus looks really cool. I love the eyes. The Scourge looks kind of terrifying. Like, he got a toothy mouth, man. I'm just saying, he got a toothy mouth. So I don't know if you're into battle cubes, then maybe they'll be up your alley. I don't know. It's not for me, but it might be for you. New Jersey Collector Con, because that's what they always call it now. NJCC. It's not a Comic Con anymore. Now it's a Collector Con. Who knew? Well, they are. See, I'm so excited. I even dropped my pen. So excited to see you guys on Thursday night. I even dropped my pen. Anyway, they're doing a Christmas shopping event on December 9th and 10th. So if you live in Jersey and you want to know kind of what to get that Transformers fan on your list, maybe check out their Christmas shopping expo thing. Or maybe you do a little gift to yourself from yourself. Or maybe you go there with some family that's wondering, hey, what do you want? Tell them to bring some money to burn. Just throwing it out there. The Pulse premium members, live stream, nonsense, junk, whatever. Anyway, the exciting part of that is going to be whatever it is that they revealed. That's supposed to be happening tomorrow, from what I understand. Tomorrow. They will also be in MCM London the following day, Saturday the 28th. And then word is that whatever's revealed tomorrow and on the 28th, so tomorrow and Saturday, pre-orders for that are expected to go up Tuesday, Halloween. Did you like that? Was that creepy? Was that creepy or was it just dumb? Might have just been dumb. Oh, but anyway, Pulse event tomorrow for premium members. Everybody's going to know what it is, though. Let's be realistic. MCM London, and then pre-orders on the 31st. But, like, I feel like that this is going to have to be Studio Series because I'm looking at the pre-orders for the first wave of the Uni stuff, and I can't, you know, like I'm seeing everything from January and February to as late as June in some places. Like, I don't know. I feel like you're trying to go far ahead with your pre-orders. Maybe too much. Like, I'm not pre-ordering stuff a year out. No, it's not for me. It might be for you. I'll forget about it, see? Robeson showed off their new base, and like they're fine bases, and they're different kind of shapes and stuff for different characters. Like the one that Grimlock was attached to is different than the one that Optimus was attached to, which was different than Buzz Lightyear's, which was different than the one that Rise of the Beast Optimus is attached to. And while they're sculpted fine and I guess colored fine and stuff, I don't like them because every single solitary one of them keeps the character in the air. Now, I get it. It's probably done so that as you walk past it and whatnot, your character can do action poses and cool things. But when you're not walking past it and it's just there, I mean, I guess it's better than it just falling over, but it just looks like it's creepily floating in the air. It doesn't really stand on the base. Maybe you could set it up lower, but I have yet to see one image of any of the Roboson bots on the bases with any of them actually standing on the base. I don't know. I'm very Roboson out. I'm done. I'm very over them. We saw some more images of Chase, and Mark said that he likes rescue bots. Fans clamored apparently for Chase. What rescue bot would you like to see next? I'm glad to see rescue bots getting a bit of love, honestly. He says that these character designs are as if the rescue bots graduated to kind of like join the main ranks, and that's why they're a bit of an amalgamation. Heavily borrowing from rescue bots, but a little more squared off than the roundedness of rescue bots. I can get behind that. By the way, apparently the hook that comes with Chase, that hook thing, that can come apart and become 2 daggers for him. He also has a blaster because now that he's on like the main team, you know, he might need to go and do some blasting. A lot of people have said that they feel like that this will become a lockdown. I don't see it. I've looked and I've looked and I've looked and I'm not seeing what you're seeing. I a ton of remolding. Maybe use the skeleton, but if you could see a lockdown in there, cool. I can't. I guess time will tell, right? And One Studio, they showed off Cell once again. That's their Unicron, but this time in a mostly black deco with translucent green on the chest and not translucent green, translucent orange on the chest and one translucent orange hand, a la Energon Unicron. Yes, they're taking their One Studio Cell, which is a great mold. It's already been colored a little deeper in like the pumpkin colors. Then it was done in a more gray, washed out, they call it more animation, light yellow or pale yellow and pale grays. And now they're doing it this way. I can't argue with the repaints here. I mean, I have the original back right here and I don't need any more, but it's a great mold to have. I mean, the dude turns inside out into a fantastic robot. As well, we saw more images of their Primus. He looks great. We'll talk about Primus in a little bit more. Let's check in with you guys. I think. Actually, let's do this note, and then I'll check in with you guys. The National Toy Hall of Fame. Not Hasbro's, not the Transformers, but the National. Now, I've already voted, and if you haven't, I encourage you to. They are, of course, going to be making their picks, and they're usually selected from a committee. But they are doing this year something called the Forgotten Five finalists. These are 5 finalists that did not make it into the Toy Hall of Fame, but they were finalists. Among the finalists that fans can vote on to put in the National Toy Hall of Fame is the Pogo Stick. That's going to be a tough one. Everybody knows a Pogo Stick. Pez, like a Pez dispenser, right? The thing that you flick the head and the little candy comes out. Fun fact, years and years and years and years and years ago, I had one that was blue and it had the head of like a parrot on it. And every time I would flick that, or anybody would flick it, my dog, Dusty, was terrified of it. She would run away, she would bark, she would shiver. She was terrified of the Pez dispenser. I don't know if Pez should really get in though, because that's more a dispenser than a toy to me. Then there's the apparently Fisher-Price popcorn popper. I always thought it was some sort of a weird vacuum. I didn't know that it was a popcorn popper. And I think the top 2, I think this is where the competition is going to be, will either be My Little Pony or Transformers. You gotta vote. If you want Transformers in the National Toy Hall of Fame, get out and vote for Transformers, because you gotta believe that the My Little Pony fans are definitely voting. I don't know about Pogo Stick, Pez, and what's the other one? Pogo Stick, Pez, and the Fisher-Price popcorn popper. Maybe people will remember those from their childhood, but get out and vote. I can't tell you where I've seen the link to do so, but a lot of people have been posting on it. It's around the news sites and stuff. So check it out. I'm sure you can find it and have your say. And if you're a Transformers fan and you vote for My Little Pony or Pogo Stick, come on, man. Don't be a traitor to the cause. Let's check in with you guys before I go on with more of the news. Let's see. How far up do I need to go here? About here, I believe. Are the Titans selling for 1 cent? I mean, not here. We don't get those sort of prices. Like I saw the whole, I think it was the Ark at Ross or Ollie's or something for 60 US. I mean, no, that doesn't, it doesn't happen here. It doesn't happen here. It's cool, get it for sure, but it doesn't happen here. Here's the thing though, great for fans. That's terrible news for Hasbro because it means that their stuff is not selling at MSRP. It also is very telling about how much the wholesale price is on this, that a place like Ross is able to sell it for 60 bucks and still make a profit, because there's no way that they're selling it and not making a profit. When I talk about something like Hasbro Pulse and say do factory direct pricing, it's because the wholesale price is wildly lower than retail. And I'm not interested in letting Hasbro double and triple dip. That's why I'm so hard on it, right? Picked up Bombshell and Ratchet last week. Happy with that. Picked up Ratchet last week. He's not even released in Canada yet. He's due to release November 1st. I haven't seen any date change on, say, like Amazon or GameStop or anything like that. Interesting. Bombshell is great. Bombshell's pretty great. Obviously, I won't be able to go to TFCon LA. Okay. I don't know why that's obvious, but okay. I mean, I can't go to TFCon LA. Hi, everybody. Picked up 4 bots, Bombshell, Strong Arm, Shadow Strike, and Detritus. And you know what? I reviewed them all. Honestly, I really like Detritus. I thought Bombshell was great. I think Shadow Striker probably has the most interesting transformation, though frustrating. And I really like Strong Arm. I do find her shoulders a little finicky going to the vehicle mode. But overall, I'm a big fan. Good pickups, Dragonfly. Honestly, buddy, good pickups. Hey, Big M. More G1 to celebrate the 40th years, which G1 makes under 15% of. I mean, maybe, but it's also it might make up 15% of the lore, perhaps, dog, but it makes up 99% of the profit, because nothing has ever come close to touching the profitability of G1. It just doesn't. Some have been successful, but I mean, if you want it, you got it. It's like I've been saying for a long time. If Unicron Trilogy fans want more of those, man, you're gonna have to support it. Like for example, if you really want to support Unicron Trilogy stuff, like we know that Jolt is coming with a repaint or is out with a repaint of Hotshot. Now here, that's $67 compared to the $36 of a regular deluxe. If you love Armada enough, you have to look at that and say that Minicon is worth double the price, because that's what the G1 addicts would do. And you need to be as addicted, as blindly addicted as they are. That's the truth. I know saying it how it sounds, but that's the truth. If you want more of it, that's what Hasbro is going to want. Battle Cube equals Crash Combiner. No, they don't go together. They battle each other. No, it's nothing like a Crash Combiner or a Duocon. It's literally 2 squares with a face on it, and you push them together, and then one spring loads out and covers the other. That's literally all it is. Hey Caldeo, hey Jay, hey Dragon. Oh, I already said Dragonfly. I'm at Walmart currently. Hey, there you go. Hope you find something good. Picked up 86 Ratchet, Frenzy, and Nightbird this week. Wow, none of that's even out in Canada yet. Not due till at least the 1st of November. And I haven't heard of any reports here. Wild. And I wouldn't expect them the 1st of November. I'd expect them sometime in December. They'll come before the holidays. But that's crazy that you picked all that up. Good for you, man. Oh, you picked up those 4 bots at Walmart. Nice. Man, Blue, you got to stop with the 60 days and stuff, man. Like I'm just going to, I love Christmas, and honestly, this incessant reminding me is ruining it, Please don't. I'm begging you. Don't ruin Christmas for me. It's the only holiday I like, and it's too much right now. If you want to count it, but don't bring it up to me, please. I can't. I know how my wife is, and I know that she doesn't want it this early, and her birthday still needs to come, and our son still needs to come. It's too much. Yesterday I got another Gamer Edition Cliff Jumper by accident, and that one it gave me the idea of making it into a Brazil green cliff jumper. I dub what road pumble. Okay, whatever, man, whatever suits your fancy. I've seen a bunch of the cliff jumpers around. They're not really selling, which makes me wonder how good the mold is, because I figured he was going to be really popular, and I've seen the same 5 or 6 now for a week. All the bronze are gone, but the cliff jumpers are still there. I'm trying to find a Minerva. Good luck. Hope you find one. You know, I had a random thought the other day, says Tony. They should totally do a buzzworthy pack with Glyph, Tap Out, and Bug Bite with the Cliff Jumper, BW, Bumblebee, and Cybertron Origins Bumblebee 3-pack. That's a lot of stuff. That's a lot of stuff. It wouldn't be for me. I'm not a huge fan of the mold, but you know what? I hope you get it. We don't do Halloween here, but I like the concept. Interesting. You don't do Halloween there. Interesting. I can't pre-order a year early either because I will forget and end up doing. I wouldn't do it again. I'm getting out of pre-ordering. If they want me to buy it, put it on the shelf. I'm getting out of pre-ordering and I feel good about it. Like right now, I don't have any pre-orders in. None. None. Not one. Because I no. Well, I guess I do. That's a lie because I guess technically Death Source was a pre-order. But other than that, I haven't pre-ordered any of it, and I feel very calm. If I get it, I get it, and if I don't, I don't. It's trapped. This whole pre-order nonsense is a trap, if you ask me. Some of the new Legacy United figures, we can tell who are the possible repaints, like Core, Energon, Galvatron, and maybe Go Prime. I can't tell any of the repaints at all. None. Nothing looks like anything to me. But if you can, then more power to you, I guess. It's the ghost of your bank account possessing the Robeson Prime. I mean, maybe, I guess. I don't even think it's that impressive. Like, I've seen the videos of it doing junk 3 or 4 times now. It's like, yeah, okay, it does a bunch of junk. Yay, big deal. And like, I'm over. I don't know if you guys are. Maybe you're still amazed by it, but like 5 minutes after seeing that it exists in the world, I was over it. And I was over it. That was it. I don't know how they're keeping this line going, but they are. They keep making it. They got to be making money at it, I guess, right? Hey, Darth. Hey, Ken, by the way, if I didn't say it, buddy. Highly anticipating Seed by Promise. Yeah, like I know how excellent Cell is. I can't imagine Seed is any worse. I really can't imagine. I like the Space Bridge idea for like on his back and stuff and as his stand. I think that's great. And if I'm skipping stuff, guys, I apologize. Just try and stay on track, guys. Just try and stay on track. Hey, Ultra Megatronus. When you almost said Long Arm, that made me realize that they should make a Legacy United animated universe. Long Arm Shockwave. I thought that they should do an update of that for a while, to be honest with you. I kind of agree with you, man. Hey, no. I hate to complain. Now go for it, man. I complain all the time. But I need this off my chest. My Walmart really sucks. Pfft, all 3 of mine suck. There's less variety of Transformers than 2 years ago, and more than half of the Earthsparks bad gimmick toys. Yeah, well, there's a lot more gimmicky junk than 2 years ago, and honestly, with the prices being what they are, I'm going to tell you now, I can't speak for them down there, but I can up here. I don't remember the last time I saw a leader class at my Walmart. Voyager is becoming rare, very rare, because they're not selling. They go there and then they go on clearance and then they still don't sell on clearance. And they go on clearance about 2 years later. Let's be clear. It's not like it's a month later. It's about 2 years later. you know, the pegs are stocked with old stock. Like I could still get wave 3 of Legacy, not Legacy Evolution, wave 3 of Legacy at my Walmart, like right now. Like if I needed another dead end, no problem, easy, no problem. And that's a problem because do you think Walmart's going to continue to buy Transformers, to buy Hasbro product if it's not selling? I had a conversation with Toys R Us, somebody that works at Toys R Us about 2 days ago, and he was saying how about 2 months ago, because I said it's interesting. I said I noticed that the price scalping is changed a little bit. Hey, and he said, "What do you mean?" I said, "Well, I said your leaders have gone from $84.99, which was insane, back to $76.99, which is still insane." And he said, "Oh yeah," he said, "came in one day and all of the prices of everything Hasbro were put back to a bit lower." I mean, these companies, the retailers are starting to realize this stuff's not selling. They're not going to keep buying product if it's not selling. Simple as that. Don't get me wrong, still plenty of Galvatron sludges and GXs to go around, right? I mean, but it shouldn't be. That's the thing. It shouldn't be. There didn't used to be. Walmart shelves here are full of figures, but collectors would have gotten months ago. Yes, exactly. We got stuff too that collectors would have gotten months ago. And that's a problem. That's a big, big, big problem. Okay, let's go on. I'm going to skip the TFCon stuff for now. My reactions to that stuff. We'll get back to that. Let's get the rest of the news out of the way first. RED. Remember the RED line? That thing was dead. Haven't seen RED stuff in, got to be a year or more. Like, I don't even know what the last thing was, but we haven't had the RED stuff here in a solid year. And it didn't sell well. It was pretty bad. But we saw images of the Grimlock, which I don't think looks that great. I feel like the head is sort of squat short, and I don't know why he has a red chest, and I don't know why the chest opens and like flips down. It's the weirdest thing. Plus, his two wings that have his Dino Mode arms on them are just above his shoulder, which means when you try to T-pose his shoulder out, it only goes out so far because the wing piece is like right over his shoulder. So it's like a shoulder pad, and I think the arm can only go out like this far. So it does have articulation limits because of the kibble. It does have a weird opening chest and a weird shaped head as far as I'm concerned. But here's the interesting thing. It is a bit bigger than your typical red line offering. It's a little bit bigger than Optimus Prime. It's pretty much the size of Power of the Prime's Grimlock. So it's basically a Voyager size red line offering. I'll be interested to see what that tries to retail for, because when Red was here last, I want to say they started out at $29.99 and became maybe $33.99, maybe $35.99, and it didn't sell. It was interesting idea. I reviewed the first wave with Soundwave, Megatron, and Optimus, and I hated them. Not because they didn't transform; they just felt gummy and sticky, and I didn't like the material they were made out of. Just tactile. They weren't for me. They might be for you, but they weren't at all for me. Cang Toys showed off their King Mini, which is basically their Legends class take on Razor Claw. Of course, he is the torso of their Legend scale Predaking. They've done an MP scale Predaking. The MP one, highly, wildly stylized. The Legends one, still quite stylized, but more recognizable, I think, as Predaking than the Masterpiece one. I think the Masterpiece one almost went a little bit too far out in left field. And I think the Legends one, while still very stylized, reins it in just enough that it's a little more recognizable as Predaking. But that's just me. And that kind of criticism for me and that opinion for me is just that. It's completely subjective. What's not subjective is the apparent price of the W Resources Metroplex. That's the 4-foot tall big boy, 4 feet to the top of the head, 5 feet to the top of his like shoulder cannons. I don't know what we call them. The black blasters that come up from his shoulder. 5 feet to the top of that. This is going to apparently retail for $1,500 US plus tax plus shipping. It will be shipped apparently in parts. I don't know what the shipping will be. I think it's safe to say that this guy would be about $2,000 US all in. If you got $2,000 to spend and you want a 4 or 5 foot Metroplex that could potentially crush a child and that you really can't handle or maneuver or do anything with, go for it. But make sure you want it, because word is, and I've checked a couple of different locations and websites and, rumblings and discussions, and word is that the non-refundable deposit ranges from $100 to $300. It's I think that this should only exist in a museum. I think it should be a one-of-a-kind piece. I think that there's an old saying. Just, man, she's doing a lot of hacking tonight. Just because you can do something don't mean you should. And I don't think that this should be sold as a retail thing. I think it's insane. I think it's cool, but I think releasing it is, quite frankly, just preying on people's addictions. People that are so addicted that they will put themselves in financial ruin because they will feel like they have to have this. And I don't agree with it. I think it's amazing. I think it's bad business. That's what I'm going to say about that. We're going to get to the TFCon reveals in a moment. Let's check in with you guys again. Let's see. Whereabouts do I need to go? I believe about right here. No, I don't think so. Actually, I think it's up a little bit higher. My Walmart stalled for a while, but has been doing well with new stock the last few months. Funny enough, I would have said the same thing about our Toys R Us, and now they got a whole bunch in. Now I doubt they're going to get anything new for a while, but this is leading to the holiday, so if they're going to stack up, this is when they're going to do it, and then they'll have a lull from January to September again. I have to buy mainline online. No store will sell on the shelf Transformers except for the cheap junk. Wow, crazy. Because they probably know the prices are insane. People are not going to buy this. There is one good Walmart near me, and it only has old Legacy Deluxes. That's crazy. Still plenty of Galvatrons, Sludges, and GXs to go around. Shouldn't be, man. Shouldn't be. They're awesome, but I get it. I mean, just today on the way home from work, I was like, do I pop in and pick up like a Antagony? And I was like, no, I'm not paid till like next Thursday. And I don't want to put myself in the hole. And like, that's the thing. When it was a reasonable price, I would have said, well, man, it's only $25. Now I got to look at it and say, well, now that's $50. And that's a big chunk of change for something that I was thinking about on a whim, So no, I got to make the responsible call, right? Some of the leaders here are going for $95.99. That's insane. That's absolutely insane. I feel like the big issue with Overstock is that we can just get everything online. Not to mention Legacy specifically doesn't have a specific collector group. My shelves still have some Siege, and that's fair, honestly. I tend not to buy stuff online, though, because I don't like paying shipping. Why am I paying more? I mean, I get it. You're paying it for convenience, but if I can just go to the store and get it, I'm just going to go to the store and get it. And honestly, the more I look around, the more I'm like, do I really need it? Right? Red is just not for me. The only one I ever saw that was nice was Cheetor, because he had the right shade of blue. I agree, the Cheetor did look nice, but I mean, I'd want him to change it to a cheetah. No, the red don't transform. You're right. Got red RC for $9. There was, oh yeah, I know there was a red RC. You're right, there was a red RC, the Transformers Prime one. She any good, Maximal 10? Just, yeah, comic cartoon accurate, yeah. For not transforming, they are deluxe price here, not for me. Yeah, exactly. Is this the Predaking that had the gorilla parts? Yes, it is the Predaking with the gorilla parts. I call him gorilla pants. I think he got wolf feet too, if I'm not mistaken. I think his feet are wolves, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, red would be great for Transmutate. It would be great for a bunch of the Quintessons. It would be great for like the Judge, the Scientist, right? It would be great for Alpha Trion. It might be great for like Doc, You know, remember Doc? I don't think he had an alt mode. Maybe some of the pre-TCOG Transformers, you know? Like, I'm just saying. There are ones that they could do. They're not doing them. The stores just got the Studio Series Bumblebee movie RC when I have it. But it was released. That's crazy. That's nuts. I think, like me, GotBot, do I really need every figure? I'm still heading toward my end game goal to go out of collecting. I mean, I hate to say that I have to work to an end goal, but like I find that what they're offering as a value proposition just isn't appealing to me. I don't see the value. And it's the same reason that like I've never been an MP collector. Like I could go right now and buy 2 of the MP Trailbreakers in a store, no less. And I'm saying that because that one comes to mind. But I don't want to spend $230 plus tax on it when I feel like it doesn't really look like Trailbreaker. When I was able to get the Earthrise one for $29 at the time. It doesn't make sense to me. But if it does to you, cool. She's a bit loose in the legs, but not bad. Fair. And the training drone from the G1 movie or protoforms. Yeah, I mean, it could do protoforms and that sort of thing. Yeah, sure, they could. Why not? Okay, let's get into the last piece of news. Actually, you know what? I don't have any pickups. Let's do trivia, and then we'll do the last piece of news. Trivia, are you ready? This is a good one. I like this one. Oh, by the way, big shout out to Scott McKenzie. I was fortunate enough. It's funny, when I was at Toys R Us, I had a gentleman come up to me, and it happens. And when it happens, I still get struck amazed, and I'm terrible face to face. Like, I'm so socially awkward. It's so weird. I'm great in the classroom. I'm great here with you guys, but just in society, I'm a weirdo. And he came up, and he started out with, "Excuse me, can I ask you a strange question?" And I said, "Sure." And he said, "Are you Starscream wife's husband?" And I started to laugh. And he went on then with this whole introduction. And he said to me after that, you know, he didn't just want to say, "Hey, are you GotBot?" He wanted to do something unique. So big shout out to Scott. It was the most unique way anyone has ever asked me if I'm GotBot. And it was very humbling, very nice to meet him. I'm so glad that I did. Okay, the trivia. Before settling on the name Devastator, what was the Constructicon's combined form originally called? What was the working name that he was called by before they settled on the name Devastator? Was it Ruicon, basically Ruin and Decepticon put together? Was it A, Ruicon, B, Desolator, C, Wreckage, which we know became something later on, or D, Destructoid? A, B, C, or D? Ruicon, Desolator, Wreckage, or Destructoid? A, B, C, or D? Let's see what you guys end up saying. Now, while I'm waiting for you guys and don't look it up. Don't cheat. Don't cheat. Right? Don't cheat. I'm going to just a C. We have a C from Waspinator. No idea. A, D. Destructoid says blue. A says no. The answer is, ladies and gentlemen, we have a B for Desolator. The answer is D, Destructoid. It is Destructoid. Yeah, not Wreckage. Nope, not Wreckage. I thought Desolator would be a cool one and not Ruicon. I was going to say Ruination, but I had already used Wreckage in there. I was like, oh man, it's going to be too obvious because those two could probably be taken out of it. Yeah, Destructoid. Can you imagine if Devastator was known as Destructoid? That'd be so weird. You know, prepare for destruction. No, man, it's prepare for annihilation or devastation or whatever. Like, come on. Devastator. Devastator. So we're going to take that out of it. Missed the question. What was Devastator called before he was Devastator was the question. And it was Destructoid. Vote is either, what? Vote is either the Viacons or Megatron from the giant Bumblebee. What are you talking about? Yes, vote is either the Vehicons or Megatron from the giant Bumblebee. I don't. You're gonna have to explain it, man. I don't know what you're talking about. You're gonna have to explain it. Okay, so let's do the TFCon Oralando stuff. From the dealer room, we saw a bunch of pictures. Just a couple of notes from there. We saw Fans Hobbies Armada Jetfire. I think it's a magnificent, magnificent take on Jetfire. He looks super duper good and huge. He's MB22 and he's big. We also saw KFC's Powermaster Optimus Prime with cab and God Bomber. So you may have seen in the thumbnail, I had my God Ginrai. And we know when we've seen reviews and whatnot of the KFC, I'll call it the super. Man, that doesn't stay up. I'll call it the Super Ginrai. It's really the trailer, and we've seen a big square hole in the chest. Now, here's what's interesting. In the dealer room, we saw that same trailer, which of course gives us the Super Ginrai mode, or that I guess base Power Master Optimus Prime mode. But what seemed to be an all red version of the cab placed in the chest. When we look at pictures during the slideshow, I think it was, there in the chest is what seems to be maybe a cardboard version of that cab. And right in the very front of it, we do have what looks to be High C or High C? No, High Q. High C. That was an orange drink. Oh man. Okay. High Q, or if you prefer, Ginrai, as the Power Master in his engine block, basically. It makes me wonder if they're actually going to do the little tiny guy, or if it's just going to be the cab in the trailer. Also, seeing an all blue take on the God Bomber trailer. It's obviously a test shot. Got to be a test shot. I got to believe that all of those parts are going to come apart to go on that fantastic KFC, because a lot of people have really liked it and said it's a fantastic trailer. Can't wait for the cab. And now you're also going to get God Bomber, so you can pull off some sort of a masterpiece scaled version of this. And I think that's tremendous for all MP fans. I really do. I think it's an ambitious project by KFC. I think it's KFC. I hope it's KFC. I'm saying. I hope it's Keith. But I think it's one that nobody else is in that field. Nobody else is in that MP scale, full on field for it. There's been some other ones that are nice and stuff, but overall they're not quite. Their alt mode certainly not quite there. So I think that it's a really special one for them, and I think it's really good. We saw some sort of run amok and runabout. No idea who's making them. They look really good, though. Again, assuming MP scale. We saw a reformatted Joker transformer. I don't know what mold it's using. It's obviously Joker's face. It's obviously part of the reformatted line, which is MMC. It's undoubtedly going to be good. We also saw a lot from MMC. We saw a lot from Magic Square. At the Chosen Prime booth. X-Transbot stuff seemed to be the most reasonably priced. I was looking at some of the prices, I'm like, man, some of this is crazy prices for what it is. And then I looked at the XTB stuff, and I was like, you know what? For what it is, that stuff is the most, it's still expensive, but it's the most reasonably priced. Their Scourge Sweep was there for 160, and I'm like, that's expensive, but for that sweep, it's not bad, as an example of something that was there. There was also a ton of YOLO Park stuff. We've talked about it before. We've seen the grayscales, and we've seen some colored ones for the Rhinox, for the Rise of the Beast Optimus Prime, and ever so many others. They had them all there, all on display. If you go to T-Formers, if you go to TFW, you can see all of the dealer room pictures. But then we get to the slideshow, and that's always the big thing, right? The slideshow is always the big thing, and it was the big thing this time around. I'm going to go through it and kind of give my thoughts on what was shown there. Hold on. It's Keith's Fantasy Club, isn't it? I didn't think it was just fan club. I thought it was Keith's Fantasy Club. Hold on. Let me just check here. Hey, Grimlock gone. They did kind of use Destructor later in the Destruction name with the Well, yeah, but there was no. I don't think Destructor wasn't one of my choices. It was Destructoid, Wreckage, Desolator, or Rubicon. I didn't say Destructor. But you know what? There was a lot of damage going on there, so I mean, it's easy enough to mishear something. Video games and food industry, but not third-party Transformers. So yeah, KFC, Keith's Fantasy Club. As we go down here a little bit. Power Master, Optimus Prime, or Apex Armor Prime, whatever you want to call it. Such a great super version. I think only RID Super Mode Prime is close. Agree. I agree with you, Tony. The reason God Getting Rye looks so good is because KFC added their 11 secret herbs and spices. Yeah, right? Yeah. Yeah, it might be. And I thought it was fantasy. I could be wrong. Maybe you're right, but I thought it was fantasy. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Anyway, let's go on here. So we get to the slideshow, right? We get to the slideshow. Let's do the slideshow. First things first, we saw Mechanic Skull Studio, 10.5 centimeter. So the dude's small, 10.5 centimeter Armada Starscream. Looks as good or better, probably better than the Legacy one. It's obviously much smaller. It's meant for like a Legends collector, but man, oh man, what a great look for Starscream. Very clean in both modes. If you're into Armada Starscream and you're into Legends class, this might be the one for you. I've never heard of Mechanic Skull Studio. I don't know. Is this their first outing? Are they, were they somebody else? I don't know, but this one looks at least pretty good. Collector Space showed Little B. This made me uncomfortable. Again, this is B. I feel like it's an adaptation of an RC mold with maybe a new head, but it's like B done as like an anime cosplay girl. She does transform, but I'm looking at it with this anime faces and stuff, and I'm like, this feels unwholesome. I feel dirty looking at it. I don't like it. If you do, cool, but I can't get behind that stuff. I can't do it. I can't do it. To me, it's just go out in the world, meet a real girl. This is a toy. Let it be the thing it's supposed to be. I don't know. It's not for me, I guess. Cang Toys showed off a bunch of their Robo Beasts, I'll call it. I think it's their Dinobots. Like I saw the one that I think is their Snarl. Not their Snarl. Yeah, their Snarl, I believe. I mean, their beasts are neat, very visually stunning, a lot of spikes and bits. The robots, same thing, but they're so stylized that I find them difficult to tell who and what they are, at least until they're painted. Then they're a little bit more recognizable. But I think that they were showing off their Dinobots. I can't say more on it than that because I'm really not 100% sure. And I think those Dinobots are going to combine into a Volcanicus. Don't quote me on that, but I think they're going to. Make Toys, or Make Toys, whatever you want to call them, showed their Slip Swarm exclusive, which is their Slipstream. We've talked about that last week, if not the week before as well. Let's see. Robot Toys showed off their Beast Wars Megatron and their Beast Wars Primal. Looking at them, the Megatron is pretty much all purple. The Primal is pretty much all gray at this point. I believe these might be like test shots, maybe, and I think they're Legend scale. I could be wrong, but I looking at them, the vibe I get is a Legends vibe. If they're bigger than that, I'm perfectly open to being, I'm perfectly open to being corrected, right? And being able to say I stand corrected. But yeah, great looking Beast Wars Megatron looks wildly articulated, especially in his arms. Little bit stylized dino head, but he looks really good. The Primal looks really good. The way they've done the sculpting, it seems like they're trying to kind of mimic fur as if it's blowing a little bit, maybe in the wind or something. And I think it looks really nice. Little bit stylized, but you're obviously going to know who they are. Like it's not stylized enough. It's not like Cang Toys, right? It's not stylized enough that you're not going to know immediately who they are. Metagate showed off, and I talked about this last week and the week before, showed off their really excellent looking Bumblebee movie, triple changing Shatter, who does all three modes. It looks beautiful. I talked about them all here. Still think the plane has a little bit too much red on it. And then they showed their drift, which is obviously like the Bugatti Veyron drift, except he's mostly white and the head doesn't, it's not a whole gold face and frill. It's like you look at it and you're like, or at least I was like, this is obviously like Bayverse drift, but the colors seem to be like Generations drift colors, or they're trying to do that. Like I expected him to be a blue or black motif and vehicle, and instead he's more white. It's very strange. I don't know if it was a test shot or if that was the color, but I thought it was very strange, and I was like, I think that's a risk for movie fans, but I do think it's a cool looking drift, if that makes sense. I don't know how it's going to sell. I'll be interested to see, how many people are interested in that sort of a take on movie drift. HTB Toys showed off their nanobots. I've reviewed them about a year ago, I think, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, about a year ago. It was just before the holidays last year. And they're great. They're great little guys. Go great with Titans. Really, really excellent with Titans. He also, HTB Toys also showed off the Chaos Hammer that can be used with Cell. Probably could be used with Primus. And it's a big orange blocked hammer that has a gray handle. It's cool. That's all I can say on it. O1 Studio, speaking of O1 Studio, they showed off their Energon Unicron, the black one with the orange chest and hand. They also showed off their Primus, and he looks, these were the best pictures we've seen of him. It has to be the fully painted version. I still find the red chest off-putting and strange, but man, when you look at the planet mode, it's all like a gunmetal gray, and you can see little yellow lights and stuff. Like you can imagine you're looking down on a planet and seeing it bustling with life, and it's all held atop, mounted on a space bridge. It's beautiful. It's really, that's the thing. I looked at it. My first thought was, that's really beautiful. Now it seems like he has a head, and he has like a second helmet, I guess. So I don't know if the top of his head comes off to accommodate this other helmet. That's what I'm thinking. And he also comes with a small, fairly well articulated Alpha Trion, which I think is neat. I mean, if you want to have a little Alpha Trion talking to the last Autobot, the face of Primus, he'd be a cool little Alpha Trion to have. And looks very Alpha Trion-esque, of course. So yeah, even more impressed with that. We also saw from Iron Factory, we saw their version of the Fallen, Legends Class Fallen, a lot of flame, translucent flame. I'm assuming these are accessories that you put on him in both modes. I don't know if they're attached to him or not. Looks really good. As does Samurai Sideswipe. Samurai Sideswipe is, of course, slightly Samurai styled. I think they went far too much with the stylization on, say, Ironhide. But I look at this and I'm like, that's definitely Sideswipe in robot mode. And then you see the vehicle mode. And it's like, wow, that's a nice approximation of his alt mode. I think the Sideswipe is one of the best that they've done with this samurai motif. I think it's really, really good. Magic Square showed off their Chibi Prime, well articulated, transforms into a little bit of a smushed, weird, proportioned truck, but he does transform. It's I don't know. He's well articulated too. I'll give him that. But I think it's a bit of a risk for Magic Square to take. New Age showed off their Wheeljack. We've talked about this. Now, here's the interesting thing. I said when I talked about their Wheeljack that's supposed to be the animation accurate version, I said his arms and hands and his thighs seem to be more of a gray or a gunmetal gray. And that struck me as very odd. And I was like, I don't like it. It's not animation accurate. Well, I saw that again here. But then at the tail end, there's an actual like physical picture of him, maybe from the dealer floor or something. And those forearms and hands are indeed black, and the thighs and pelvis are black, and he does look like he jumped off the screen. So I stand corrected about that. It must have been the lighting used for the Wheeljack pictures. He looks splendid. They showed their Sea Spray, who looks really good as well. And I think two of the more recent Swoop variants, that being the comic accurate one where he has the red chest and like his arms and stuff are a little grayish blue, as well as the maybe the G2 one, something like that. Maybe the Shattered Glass one. I can't recall right now. But anyway, New Age, they showed a few things. We've seen it before. Nothing really new, but interesting all the same. Oh, and then we went to Nanef, and Nanef showed a kit basically that can take your Studio Series 86 sludge and convert it into paddles. The 4 legs come off, and we get 4 fins, I suppose. There's a whole new neck piece that's highly articulated, bit on the skinny side, but highly articulated, and has like a little frill on the back that you could put on the head somehow. Neat, I guess. I don't know what else is added in robot mode, because I was looking at it and I was thinking to myself, once you transform this to robot mode, though, like it would just look like 2 sludges, you know, 2 sludges. I don't know, and like I don't really know where this paddles character came from and stuff, so it doesn't really speak to me, but it might speak to you. They also showed off, and I think that this is a risk, but an interesting one. They're 3-inch modular figures. This line will have a bunch of figures, whatever the modular aspect is. I don't know if they can change parts or something. There's going to be 27 points of articulation, and the base price is a very cool, very reasonable $10. It's a bit of a risk. I'll be interested to see this flesh out more. It's obviously intended to be like, you know, the dude's own design and own line. Interesting to see how it works out. Time will tell. Time will tell. But big hope for Nana. Fans Hobby, they showed off their Marksman, which of course was an exclusive down there. Looked great. They showed off a toy color version of Double Evil, which is their Overlord. Basically, it's the exact same as the regular Double Evil, except instead of being a dark blue, it's now a light blue. Everything else is the same. They showed off Lernian and Purple Naval Commander. I think Lernian and Destroyer. Sorry, Lernian and Destroyer. I'm pretty sure that's their Hydra and Buster, or you know, Dreadwind and Darkwing, if you prefer. So it's like their version of those 2 guys. And Purple Naval Commander is their take on Shattered Glass Armada Optimus Prime. Looks really good. Purple cab. Most of the body is black with kind of gray on the thighs and whatnot. Very, 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 very interesting. And then some gold highlights. Looks real, real, real good. Being Fans Hobby, I mean, he's going to be a big Nemesis Armada Prime. And he looks very threatening, I'll say that. And they also showed the Blaster Team. And at first I was like, what's the Blaster Team? Well, you know what it is? It is the Requiem Blaster Minicons. They only showed the Blaster all together. So they only showed the Requiem Blaster, not the little robot modes. But I'd be very interested to know what the smaller robot modes are like and just how articulated they really are. Wouldn't mind having a Requiem Blaster myself, to be honest with you. Just saying. And what else do we have here? Fans Toys. Okay. Fans Toys showed off their, make sure I got all of this here. I want to make sure that I'm saying all this right. Showed off their, I guess Fans Toys and Robot Paradise showed this off. Same company, by the way. They showed off their tapes being Overkill and a Shattered Glass Slugfest. I don't know where the Slugfest colors are coming in. As well as the drone. Now, every time I've seen that trio with them, I've seen Buzzsaw. But interestingly, I'm pretty sure the Buzzsaw is, no, the Buzzsaw is with that set. I'm sorry. It's Overkill, it's Slugfest, it's the drone, and it's Buzzsaw. The Ratbat goes with the Sound Blaster. So if you want Ratbat, you're going to have to buy their Sound Blaster. That's going to be an expensive go for some of them. They also showed off their first Constructicon being Scrapper, which we're going to talk about in a few moments. XTB showed off their Shattered Dante, which is like a Shattered Glass Inferno, who's like all green with some gold highlights. It's weird. I've never seen Shattered Glass Inferno before. It's weird to see what looks like an army vehicle be a Shattered Glass fire truck, I suppose. It's strange, but okay, whatever works for you. Then there's 2 Panda Racer types, 2 Pacer Racer types. These are a couple of race cars that transform into robots, of course, naturally. It seems like they're probably based on real race cars using the punch counterpunch mold from this company, right? From X-Transbots. And I think it's a great vehicle. I think the cars look good. I think the robots are a little lanky, a little strange. They're okay, but there's something around the torso and maybe hip area that I'm like, something seems a little janky there to me, and I can't put my finger on it. Maybe you love it. It's definitely just like me not able to put my finger on it. I'd be interested to see how these transform. We also saw their teardown, their gravedigger, their big load, which is basically parts of their Constructicons, because they're doing Constructicons too. So far we have a scrapper revealed from Fans Toys. XTB is doing Constructicons. You got to believe both of those companies are doing them at the masterpiece level. I got to believe that they're doing it at the masterpiece level. And they showed back on their Ron, who's Ironhide. You'll see the back and you would say that's obviously Ironhide. I assume an MP Ironhide. Got to be better than the actual MP Ironhide. He looks like he's wearing a diaper, you know? So I think that there's hope there for that to be a good one. I'll say this. XTB, however, only showed renders, really, of their Constructicons, so what they intend to do. I got to believe that they're a nice ways away yet from actually having a full-on Devastator. That said, the robot modes, the vehicle modes, and the Devastator mode all look nice and clean. MMC, they showed off their Vivance and Altio. I think that's their Ratbat, and I think Altio might be that like Steel Jock cassette that they did as the con exclusive version of the Voltron Black Line, right? I'm pretty sure that's what that is. I believe. I could be wrong, but I believe that's what that is. They also showed off their Ignis Maxis Pro, which is basically their take on Hotshot. And he's interesting. He's clean. He has huge biceps. Like, he goes to the gym, baby. And it makes the forearms and hands look small. He's obviously the torso for the combined mode of Defensor. And I'll say this. I look at it and I'm thinking to myself, this is very much like Legacy Menasor. Like, it looks like the Hotshot is going, or Hotspot, sorry, is going to be the combined mode and the arms skeleton and the leg skeleton with everybody else in kind of vehicle mode and put on. That's what it's looking like to me. I could be wrong. It's kind of early, but that's what it's looking like to me. They also showed off Medicus, which is their take on first aid with a new head and a new blaster. And they showed off their Navigant, which is their Streetwise, also with a new head and a new blaster. That's why I said, I don't know if the arms will be separate or not, but certainly the legs look like you take. No, they must have shown all four of them, because I remember seeing first aid as an arm, and I'm sure he was attached to a blue piece. And I remember seeing both Streetwise and Groove on the legs, and they were like attached to the front of like thighs, blue thighs. I think all of those blue pieces, I think, is a test shot for Hot Spot. I think. I could be wrong about that. But at the end of the day, I find it very interesting because for me, like, this is my scrapper. This, of course, is the Combiner Wars Devastator. And yes, mine has elbows and wrist swivel because I have the upgrade kit from Perfect Effect, I think. And this works for me. A lot of people say that they wish he wasn't that big for the main line. I get it. They did the smaller KO. There were a couple of pegs on that known to, sadly, break. But when it comes to the MP line, we've had a lot that could fill the bill. You have Generation Toys versions. You could go back to maybe Green Giant. You have the KO that's NBK. You have the KO that's Jin Bao and Gigantic. But I think the leader for MP Devastators has been Toy World's Constructor, I think he was called. And he's huge. There's no doubt about it. I saw it and I was like, okay, the thighs are silver. And then they done a version where he has green thighs. And I was like, all right, that's a little closer. It's definitely a Studio Ox version, but apparently it's built tremendously well, weighted well, and is super stable. When you're doing MP combiners, that's the trick. You're going to have to do them right, and they can be hit or miss. Right now, you have two companies, XTB and Fans Toys, and I think there's a third one that I'm forgetting, all working on doing a version of a Masterpiece Devastator. And I think they're all going to have to try and compete with Toy World. Can they beat the king? Time will tell. Some of these look clean, some of them look nice, but does that mean that they'll function well? And in the case of Fans Toys, how wildly expensive will it be, especially the final bot that's likely to have a bunch of pieces, because their aerial bots have been bonkers. Food for thought, though. Anyway, all that said, ladies and gentlemen, that's it. The news is done. I think it was a fairly interesting, strong TFCon panel this time. We've had some really boring slideshows, and there were a couple of, I don't want to say duds, but a couple of repetitive things here. But there was some new, interesting stuff that all of us can dig our teeth into. Thank you for coming by, giving me some of your extremely valuable time. I do know how important it is to you. If you're in a position to help the channel to grow, you can use the donate link. Check us out on Patreon. See what we have to offer to you through Spring, or of course, hit the join button at any given time and become a channel member. While you're at it, please hit the subscribe button. Stick around. Have some fun with us here on the channel. And especially don't forget that somehow, some way, each and every single solitary day, you right there, you do make a difference in the world. And I look forward to the next time that you and I get together to have another visit, either in the live streams here on Thursday nights at the stop motion premieres, or the old fashioned way inside the videos.